Good morning, everybody. Hey, welcome to Monday, May 10th. Hope everybody had a great weekend, great Mother's Day, and now we plow into the second week of May, and we continue to have earnings. Not a lot this morning, but after the market closes today, we'll have several popping up, and so tomorrow will be a heavy, heavy day. We do still have some today we'll talk about. We'll talk about some of the economic things that are happening, not necessarily macro stuff, but just some of the things that have happened over the weekend as we prepare for this week. Looking forward to our conversation with Dave. But before we get started with Dave, let me just remind you again one more time that the only thing that any of us can control within our portfolio is the amount of risk you have. And if you don't know what that risk number is numerically from 1 to 100, then how can you be ready for the next market downturn? So give me a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule your financial x-ray. Again, that's 863-382-0037. Visit our website at statlerfinancial.com. And next we turn to Dave.
Go ahead. There we're at 8:39 now, 21 before 9. Time to check in and find out how your money's doing this morning on Wall Street, and not necessarily the sector you'd naturally expect is suffering this morning, and the sector you might not expect is doing okay. Let's go downtown and check in with Phillip Statler from Statler Financial Services and quantify things for you. Phillip, how are you this morning?
Hey, good morning. Doing well, Dave. I didn't speak to you on Sunday, but I did see you sneaking into the restaurant.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was sneaking around, yes. You were up at Sun and Lake?
I was coming out as you were going in.
Okay. I was holding the door for a bunch of ladies going out and everything, meeting a bunch of my golf guys for a beer after I did my house cleaning. I didn't see you. I'm sorry. Happy Mother's Day. I hope you had a pleasant weekend.
We did. Took Mom out to eat there at the restaurant, and sister came in from out of town, so it was good. We got a good little visit.
Well, I'm glad. And a happy Mother's Day, one day late to all the mothers out there. I talked about how I got kind of surprised. The Colonial Pipeline got shut down from an internet hack over the weekend, and word is it cut off, let's say at least a plurality. I've heard quotes anywhere from 35 to 50% of the natural gas that goes up to the East Coast. That should mess with the petroleum markets this morning, but actually what I'm looking at more than anything else is in the pre-market trading, NASDAQ seems to be getting hit concerns over the internet more than we are concerns on the energy stock, and that kind of was one of those counterintuitive things that kind of surprised me this morning.
Oh, yeah, it is. That's the only index really that's in the red this morning is the NASDAQ. So not sure what's really causing it, because I'm like you. I thought the pipeline deal would have been the lead thing, and that would have caused some of that stuff to head south, but really not, and oil prices aren't bumping up a whole lot for it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've got, on my pre-market big winners list, I've got a couple of oil field service providers. I've got a couple of energy companies, an engineering group. I mean, they're on the upside this morning, and it's the internet providers and the internet-sensitive businesses that seem to be getting it. Maybe we just gave some bunch of people a case of the willies as far as internet security as being the primary reaction to the oil field shutdown or the pipeline shutdown. It's kind of fascinating. It's the opposite of what I would have expected.
And that could be because, let's face it, that's why we're dealing with that problem on the pipeline. It was internet security, cyber attack on that computer system, and so it's one of those things where I'm assuming they're holding it hostage for a large sum of money, but I haven't heard the details yet. So whether or not it gets freed up or they've got to figure out a bypass, either way, it's time that they don't have.
Yeah, it's one of those darned ransomware things. Avon Park City Computers got bit by one of those a few months ago. It happens. They break into the hard drive, encrypt all the information. The article I read said that the pipeline people got an email saying that their confidential files were going to be released to the public if they didn't pay some obscene amount of money. I'm not 100% sure how much damage confidential files on a pipeline control system really could cost them anything, but it's obviously an inconvenience.
Well, yeah, and they absolutely can't operate without having, access to some of those files.
Well, yeah, yeah. I guess the confidential information part, customer records and whatnot. Unless they've got some sweetheart deals with some natural gas providers that they don't want released out, I can't imagine what on earth it'd be. But it's something that we'll be watching at the very least. The other item in terms of tidbits that we've got before we get into the earnings releases, we've been talking about the running up on the price of housing. Evidently, building a house is a ton more expensive these days too, isn't it?
It definitely is, Dave. Wood has gone skyrocket high. And so I was looking at an article that I found quite interesting. It took $50,000 in lumber cost, and it went back on an average size house and determined how many houses that 50,000 would build. Now, it went back all the way to 2010. In 2010, it would have built almost 13 houses. In 2015, it would have built almost 15 houses. Today, in May of 2021, it would build a tad over 2 houses.
Good heavens. You see the things on Facebook. I was reacting this way when you told me this before we went on the air. I keep seeing all these snarky memes on Facebook saying, hey, I got an 8x10 sheet of plywood. I'll trade it for a new Mercedes. That's not even that terribly far off poetic license, is it?
No, it's not. And unfortunately, I think I've heard people. Well, I was talking to a friend over the weekend. He said, what you used to pay $3 or $4 for a 2x4, now it's $12, $13.
Yep, and when you start buying it by the carload, like we do for major home building efforts, that's going to eventually, I've got to assume that's going to hit supply chain issues as well as cost issues, and it's going to provide a potential cap on our home building.
I believe so. And I think we're already seeing that. It's an issue. In the article, it said there's a guy up in New Jersey that can't finish his house because he can't get the wood he needs, specific pieces of wood he needs to finish it.
The other thing that hits me is, too, plywood, especially using that as being the example. We're entering hurricane season around here in a couple of weeks, and what do we need to fix our roofs after a hurricane comes through in this part of the country? Plywood is the base behind all those roofs. So that's going to impact us, even for those of us with existing homes before long. Those hurricane insurance settlements are going to get a lot more expensive.
They really are. So, it's a trickle effect all the way down the chain. And so, it's just one of those things that people need to be aware of. We talked about inflation some last week, and I was reading an article too that talked about corn, something you're familiar with, right? Corn has gone up 147% from this month last year.
And that's absolutely amazing. We were looking at the price. I've got it at $7.27 a bushel as of this morning. There was a time, not very many years ago, where it was flirting down with the $3 a bushel range, which is at a number where the farmers end up losing their shirts in the process. More than double that at this point in time. It's utterly amazing to me. Everything on the commodities side of the fence, except it looks like gold, is going up these days.
It really does. And talking about food costs, one of the articles I read said, right now people pay on average 10% of their disposable income goes to food. Now, obviously, the less you make, the bigger that number is, but they expect that number could get up to 40%.
Good heavens. And we're talking that there are some sea changes going on. Another article I saw while we're talking about tidbits out there. We quote the gold and silver futures every morning. You started mentioning copper the other day. More money is starting to go into copper as an investment material as well. And there was a sidebar item on one of my tip sheets saying that copper was quickly becoming the new Bitcoin.
Yeah, it is astronomical. I mean, it's up another almost 2% this morning.
Wow, amazing. So it's one more reason to watch one's money because the markets are shifting and the trends are changing as well. I looked at the report listing this morning, and there's like 274 issues reported for earnings season today. Unfortunately, most of them are after the market opens up and after the market closes tonight, being a Monday. But there are a couple of companies out there we've heard of that gave us some quarterly reports, didn't they?
Yes, sir. There sure are. Let's lead off with Tyson Foods. They're the poultry producer. I guess they do some beef too, but they're better known, I think, for their poultry. They beat by a little over 30 cents a share. Revenue was above forecast. And they expect its chicken segment to continue to experience some pressure, though, due to the labor market. I mean, they're not the only restaurants aren't the only industry hurting from the labor market. Here's another one that is also. And so they are really, they're up this morning, but that's going to put pressure on them in the future, up about 0.75%.
And after that kind of a beat, you got to assume it's guidance that putting a cap on the number that they're up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because they really did well. Hey, on the travel industry side, we have Marriott report. We had Hilton last week, Marriott this week. They earned 10 cents a share, which was 7 cents better than expected. Revenue, though, was a little bit below what they had anticipated. They're seeing a rebound in demand for rooms as more people get vaccinated and they're traveling more. So they are trading down this morning. Not sure what in the report gave that, seeing how room number nights seem to be going up, but down 1.3%.
Wow. I heard, speaking of travel, a tidbit over the weekend that the end of the week this past week, over Mother's Day weekend, it was the busiest day up at Orlando International Airport since the pandemic began.
Yeah, it continues to do better and better.
We are getting more active again, and that's good news for the travel industry, even though it didn't help Marriott this morning.
That's right, it is. And then I had Energizer, the battery company. They beat by about 17 cents a share, came in at 77 cents. Revenue beat projections. They raised their full year forecast. That's one of those things that becomes important to us here in Florida during hurricane season, is to have the right number of batteries you need. They're up almost 4% this morning.
That's good to hear. Time for one more. You got another one?
I do. I have BioNTech. They are the ones that came out with Pfizer and developed the vaccine. They beat on both top and bottom lines, as we would expect. Now I found this interesting. They have no evidence right now that they need to make any adaptation to their vaccine for the different variants that seem to be coming in. They seem to be prepared to deal with them with what they have already. So I found that kind of interesting, Dave.
I'm glad to
They're
hear.
trading, let me see, they're really not trading because they're not trading on the U.S. exchange. They're trading on the Europe exchange. They are up 9% this morning, though. Not sure exactly what European time is right now, but they're up 9%.
European time put us about 1 p.m. their time, about midway through their day. Resetting the table this morning, we're looking at an update from Friday on Wall Street. Dow was up by 0.2%. Start the morning out at 34,777, which I think was a new record. Standard & Poor's 42.32. They were up 31 on Friday, which is a new closing record. NASDAQ up by 119 points, getting up toward their record territory. 45 minutes before we open, Phillip, what are we looking at this morning?
Yeah, we are still a mixed bag. We got the Dow up about 0.33%. The NASDAQ is trading down 0.33%, and the S&P 500 is up about 0.1%. So a mixed bag as we get ready to start. All the commodities look like they are in green this morning. Copper, like I said, is up almost 2% this morning. Silver's up 1.5%. Gold's up 0.6. And then crude oil up 0.75% to $65.39 a barrel.
Well, it's under 66. I'm starting to change my standards. Corn's up 0.75%, by the way, already this morning. Overseas markets, we had a mixed bag as well there as well. The Asian Rim markets mostly up this morning. The Hong Kong market was off by a little bit. Europe is generally up, but fractionally midway through their trading day today. Getting advice as far as where the risk, where the opportunities are, they change. We're talking about copper all of a sudden getting hot. That takes a cold set of eyes that sometimes can look at things with neutral turf in their mind. That's you, Phillip. How do I find you to be able to get my retirement in line?
Then give us a call at 863-382-0037. Join us online at our website, statlerfinancial.com. And then this weekend on the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on your sister station, Highlands News Talk 730.
All righty. Back here again tomorrow morning. We'll probably talk about Dogecoin eventually, too. I forgot to mention that. That was off by 30% last night. Bet you're not funneling clients into that today.
Nope. Stay away from that digital stuff.
I got you. Thank you, Phillip. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, have a great one.
Be well. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services. Phillip Statler from the pitch.
Hey, folks, I want to thank you for starting your week off with us as we look at this first or second full week of May. I hope you have a great day. Hope your week is off to a good start. And I look forward to speaking to you again tomorrow. Take care. Bye now.